Continue with the presentation.
Thank you, Dan. It's a pleasure to be here this evening, and it's a pleasure to have the opportunity to talk about such an outstanding candidate for the Eagle Scout badge. What I'd like to do this evening is talk a little bit about scouting, what scouting is, what scouts do, and what Rick has done to demonstrate to you that he has earned the badge of Eagle, that he is worthy of that rank, and that he will be a credit to all Eagle Scouts. Let me start with what scouting is. I believe scouting is a way of life. It helps to turn a young boy into a responsible man of fine character who is physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. Several of us can remember, most of the fellows up here can remember when Rick joined the troop. And we've had the opportunity to see how he has matured and grown as an individual and see that all he has accomplished while he has been in the troop. We have participated in and observed his transition from a boy to a responsible young man. And when I say scouting is a way of life, I think it really goes beyond the boys and affects the whole family. Rick's brother Ted is a scout. His dad is an Eagle Scout who started working with the troop long before either Rick or Ted were old enough to be in the troop. His mother was involved in the Cub Scouts and is now active in the Girl Scouts with Rick's sister Betsy. And both his grandfathers were scouts. One grandfather was an Eagle Scout. His great-grandfather was a scout. And his great-great-grandfather was a scoutmaster. I really think it involves the whole family. But it's not easy to be a Boy Scout, nor is it easy to be one of the few boys in scouting that reached the rank of Eagle. But when Rick joined the troop, there was no doubt in my mind that someday he'd be standing up here as a candidate for the Eagle rank. Now, his mom and dad may have had their doubts, but there was no doubt in my mind that he'd be up here. I said it was easy to become a Boy Scout, but not easy to be a Boy Scout. And that's because to be a Boy Scout, you have to live by the rules. And the rules in this case are the Scout Oath and the Scout Laws. The Scout Oath begins with, on my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country and to obey the Scout Laws. Can we ask any more of a young boy than that? The Scout Law can be thought of as the code of scouting. A Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. That's quite a responsibility to place on an individual. But the mention of an Eagle Scout any place in the community or any place across the country really brings that kind of individual to mind. Because an Eagle Scout has achieved the highest rank in scouting. They are the best of the scouting movement, so there can be no doubt about their adherence to the Scout Oath and Scout Laws. But now let's talk a little bit about what Scouts do. When you think of Scout activities, you normally think of hiking, camping, cooking, and summer camp where the boys earn merit badges like we saw tonight. And Scouts do all of these things. And while they're doing them, they learn, they have fun, and as they become more proficient, they assume a position of leadership in the troop. And Rick has done that. He has camped, cooked, hiked, and canoed. In fact, until this year, Rick has been on every camp out the troop has had since he became a scout. He has been at spring, fall, winter camp release. He's been at Camp Watchung, Brady Camp, Winnebago, and Shift Scout Reservation. He's also gone to summer camp twice at Russica Falls, and will be going to the Philmont Scout Reservation this summer, where he will backpack through the mountains and wilderness of New Mexico for 10 days with a crew of 8 or 9 scouts. It's really a fantastic experience. I believe it's one of the few times in your life where you're almost completely on your own, because you can hike all day and not see another crew. Rick has been on 2 totem trails, which involves pulling a sled through the snow to various stations, and you demonstrate scout skills. But sometimes it's not snow, sometimes it's mud. And that's what it was a couple of years ago. And Rick was so covered with mud from head to foot that his dad didn't want him to get in the car to go home. Rick was also elected to the Order of the Arrow, and he did his ordeal at Camp Winnebago. He's been in 3 district first aid meets. He went on the 1991 spring tour to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. And he joined 32,000 other scouts at the Boy Scout National Jamboree at Camp 8 The Jamboree gave Rick a chance to meet and work with scouts from all over this country and from other countries. He traded patches, worked on merit badges, participated in activities such as archery and water sports, and saw such dignitaries as Steven Spielberg, Magic Johnson, and President George Bush.